behind me here is a strange place, what do you think? Because it doesn't seem like it's got any real connection with our brilliant British monarchy. But that's the beauty about London, as I often say. You turn a corner, you find another bit of history. Over here in the United Kingdom, I'm not sure if you have this in other parts of the world, we have these blue and green plaques. And they're brilliant because they tell you where certain people lived for the certain period of time and what they were famous for or what they'd achieved. It's a real history lesson for free, and it's another element that I would recommend when you come to London. Just look them up, print them out, or write them down on a notepad and just work out where they are, because you get a real sense of, wow, it was that close to this, or because when you read about it in the newspaper or see it on TV, you think, wonder where that was. Now you see this building behind me here, it's now a restaurant, but actually it's got mega close royal connections, because this was the birthplace of none other than our late and beautiful monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, reigned for 70 years. Now, what's interesting also about this particular venue is it was kind of demolished actually around about the start of the Second World War. And a lot of people asked, well, why wasn't it saved or, put out there as part of a heritage factor? People didn't think like that then. They didn't really believe that people would be interested so much in this particular era. And let's not forget, at this point, it didn't necessarily look like, the destiny so far exactly of where Her Majesty the Queen was going. This could have been some time off. But what is interesting is at least they've kept a plaque outside, or two in fact, to commemorate this historical event. One thing I've always found strange though about this particular story is this, because the Queen would have visited this street on many occasions. That's because she loved her fashion, and in particular, her and the Queen Mother and Princess Margaret loved this man. That's right, the one and only Norman Hartnell. Now, Norman Hartnell was a big cheese in the fashion world, and none bigger than, well, creating creations, should we say, for our late Queen Mother, who loved his designs. Norman really was a superstar of his era, and when you think about it in today's terms, he's almost forgotten because every fashion sort of icon has a decade, don't they? But he reigned, well, for quite some time. And when you think about it, his memory does live on here in Bruton Street, simply because his name still remains above the door. Now, Her Majesty the Queen, Princess Margaret, and the Queen Mother would have all trotted through that particular door for personal visits to Mr. Hartnell, who would show off his designs with a flourish and a swish of the cigarette. And of course, downstairs, the very hard-working sewers and seamstresses all beavering away to create whatever new creation that the princesses required, whether it be a visit to the Royal Variety Performance or indeed a big state banquet. He was the master of it all. He was very clever at self-publicity too, but really the turning point for Hartnell was this, the swinging 60s. He tried to keep up, but sadly for him, he liked glamour, and he also made sure that people looked elegant. And for him, the miniskirt and everything associated with London and the swinging 60s wasn't necessarily quite for him. He continued to design and create wonderful creations for Her Majesty the Queen right until his death. And of course, he became a very good personal close friend. Fashionable enough, well then we still have this. That's right, this particular building now may be still home to the latest fashions, but it also was the working home of none other than an icon of a particular era, Jean Muir. Now, she was big in the fashion world from the middle 60s and worked right through until the 1990s. And her pieces now have become, like so many, collector's items. She was one of those people that was literally in the media all the time for a certain period. Everybody wanted to book her. She was great fun on chat shows. You never quite knew what she was going to say. And of course, everybody who was anybody simply wanted to be dressed by the latest it girl of the fashion world. As I say, when you're traveling around London, you just turn a corner and find history. And if you're like me, a bit nosy, and you want to know about certain things and how they developed and why they lived there, this would have been the place, quite literally, Bruton Street, as a place where, well, you could have bumped into other people, maybe elevated your career, or indeed made contacts. Remember, this is all in an age before social media. It was the only way to get on. But not only that, the street itself is literally, well, massively attached to royalty. And let's not forget, our brilliant monarch actually started life here. Now that's well worth a visit, isn't it? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.